Do you want your mixes to go from this to this? Well, I'm going to show you how, and it's a lot simpler than you think. What's up, guys? It's Inswain with Inswain Audio. Welcome back. If you're new here, man, where you been? Subscribe. Welcome to the family. Today, we're going to talk about two of the most fundamental, rudimentary, elementary, simple things in mixing that commonly get overlooked and kind of get brushed to the wayside, but can really elevate your mixes. Now, I'll just spoil it right here. What is it? Levels and panning. Like the two first things we learn, the most basic things. These are so important because, as you could tell from that first clip I played you to the second one, the only thing I changed was I rebalanced them and panned some things. Very minor adjustments. I didn't really do any quote-unquote mixing, like no EQ, compression, reverb, none of that. Like, imagine what this mix would elevate to when I really sat down and dug into it. That's why these things are so important. And I think because they're so basic that people overlook them and they, want to find this crazy mix trick or this new plugin, this new technique that's going to elevate their mixes. And while that stuff has its time and place, if your levels aren't right and your panning isn't right, like, there's nothing you can do to fix it. Just by getting a nice balance and having things take the front center stage and things sit in the back, off to the left, to the right, all throughout the stereo field, we're creating separation, which is, it's not EQ and compression, but it can kind of work in a similar way. And what I mean by that is, when we EQ, we're trying to usually, carve space for things and make room for things. Well, what if we just turn something up, turn something down, pan something? We're working in a three-dimensional space here, so to speak. So by panning and level adjusting, we can kind of create space and separation and clarity and all these things that we achieve using EQs and all of these effects. We can do this with just leveling and panning. So once again, I'll play you the before with how these stems came to me. And now I'll turn on my level adjustments and panning adjustments. Now I'll play them back and forth, starting with the before. You can hear the kick is much more present. Everything is kind of balanced. It feels much wider, right? Bigger. It feels solid, thicker. Just really any word you can use overall, all around. It just sounds bigger and better. And the way I got this, like I said, is just volume and panning. You can see here, the plugins that I use is literally just the gain plugins, which are volume, either turning it up or turning it down. And then the one that says DIR mix, the directional mixer, that's just panning. And the reason I put them on plugins instead of using the faders is because I wanted to be able to bypass them back and forth and the press of one button. But you can use the faders and the pan knobs, same idea. And that's literally all I did. Like, for example, right here, we look at the kick. I just gained it up by 4.8 dBs. And by the way, that is the most drastic thing I did in all of these. Claps, gained up by 0.8. Clicks, which are kind of a layer with it, 0.8 to keep the balance. Hi-hat, I gained up by 1.9 dBs, 5% in the direction to the left. 5 degrees, sorry. Cowbell, 15 degrees to the right. Negative 22.5 degrees to the left. Here on the, what is this, the conga? Yeah, so just little things like that, just making space, rebalancing things, getting what's called a static mix. Now, if I were to actually finish mixing this song, I might start here and then start to go and work on things, because if I'm going to start EQing and compressing and adding these effects when things aren't even balanced yet, I'm just wasting my time because I'm adding those effects, accordingly while it's at the wrong level, and then when I go and turn it up or turn it down, and then the whole balance gets thrown out, the way that we hear it and perceive it, everything gets thrown out of whack, and everything that I just did with all those plugins was a waste of time, and I need to restart or override it. So I always recommend to get what is called a static mix first. That's where your panning and your levels are nice and roughly where you want them to be. Obviously you can change them as you go throughout the mix, but then once you have this, everything you do subsequently after that is going to be from a more informed and a more finalized perspective. So simple one today, but an effective one, I'm telling you. I bet you when you heard that first A and B at the beginning of the video, you didn't think it was something as simple as levels and panning, and that's all I did. So yeah, anyways guys, thank you for sticking around. I hope you got something out of this. More to come. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, name your firstborn child after me. I'd really appreciate it, you guys. My name is Inswain with Inswain Audio. Peace.